They said I wouldn't last a week. The newspapers drafted my obituary before I was even dead. Foreign embassies emptied their safes. And in Tel Aviv, Netanyahu's war cabinet put a red pin through my name. 3 assassination attempts. 3 failures. 3 reminders that Africa is not bending to colonial masters anymore. That my name is Ibrahim Traoré. I'm 35 years old. I've faced more attempts on my life than most presidents see in 10 years. And today, I'll show you how the Zionist state and its Western backers tried to erase me, and why they failed every single time. That if you think African leaders can't fight back, stay with me. Because the 3rd attempt will make you understand exactly why they fear our voice. October 2023. A foreign delegation arrives. Not diplomats, assassins wearing suits. They brought a gift: 12 armored vehicles, German chassis, Israeli surveillance, French comms. They called it security cooperation. Price tag? $3.20 million. But nothing from colonial powers comes free. Not in Africa. Not ever. Weeks later, our intelligence cracked their signals. Every 6 hours, those gifts were transmitting my location, my schedule, my security details straight to Tel Aviv. Real-time surveillance hidden inside. The so-called gift. They tried to turn generosity into shackles. We cut the chains. November 15th, 11:47 p.m. My convoy was set to travel north. 23 minutes before departure, my chief of security, an old fighter who knows the smell of foreign betrayal, caught the signal that we rerouted east. 17 minutes later, the northern road was obliterated. Precision Israeli munitions, smuggled through Chad with French intelligence backing. 6 craters where my convoy should have been. 2 escort vehicles destroyed, but they made one mistake. African leaders don't move like Western politicians. We don't hide behind glass. We adapt. We survive. That night, I told my commanders something that spread through every barracks in Burkina Faso. They think African blood is cheap. They're about to learn the cost of underestimating us. Attempt 1 failed because they still think we're colonial subjects. But Africa isn't asking for freedom anymore. We're taking it. February 2024. They dropped the mask. In Barsalgo, where our army fights the same terrorists France failed to defeat for 8 years, a new enemy emerged. Not villagers, not militias, foreign-trained mercenaries. Israeli operatives crossing in from Niger. Their mission was surgical: kill me at the front lines. Assassinate me in front of my own soldiers. Break the revolution with a single bullet. But they miscalculated. I don't live in bunkers. I don't eat from golden plates. I eat what my soldiers eat. I sleep where they sleep. I walk the same roads, where our mothers fetch water and our children kick stones for footballs. When I entered Barsalgo, it wasn't mercenaries waiting for me. It was my people, farmers, mothers, young recruits. They formed a human shield around me, not because I ordered it, because they chose it. The mercenary plot collapsed within hours. We captured 12 alive, and under interrogation, the truth came out. Their funding wasn't local. It flowed through development contracts, laundered by Israeli security firms, backed by French intelligence ghosts still lurking in West Africa. When I heard that, I told my interrogators, ask them this: who pays you more? The ones trying to kill the president, or the president fighting to keep you alive? 7 of them defected. They joined our forces. Because even mercenaries recognize real loyalty when they see it. That day, I made the choice that terrifies. Paris, Washington, and Tel Aviv more than any missile or tank ever could. I chose my people over their money. I chose sovereignty over their aid. I chose dignity over their development. And that decision made me more dangerous to them than any army. Listen carefully. This isn't just about one African leader dodging assassination attempts. This is about every young African refusing to bow. Every leader who refuses to sell his people for Western approval. Every man and woman who believes Africa belongs to Africans. That if you stand with leaders who choose bullets over bribes, drop your country's flag in the comments. Show the colonial powers we are not alone. Show them that every time they try to silence one voice, 10 more rise in its place. March 2024. The night they came closest, that I was in the presidential residence, reviewing intelligence reports on terrorist movements in the East. Reports that I now know were planted. Bait to keep me in one place, an MY guard spotted unusual drones circling overhead. Not journalists. Military units, carrying Israeli signatures on their comms. Within minutes, we knew this wasn't reconnaissance. It was the kill phase, 11:23 p.m. Explosions ripped through the compound. Targeted strikes, not random. They hit our comm towers, our power grid, our escape routes. Snipers lit up from 4 rooftops. This wasn't terrorism. It was open war. I grabbed the radio and gave one order that saved us all. You don't die for Ibrahim Traoré. You live for Burkina Faso. Hold the line, but hold it smart. For 4 hours we fought in darkness. Bullets shattered every window. Smoke grenades turned the air into poison. And in the chaos, betrayal cut deeper than bullets, because locals, bought with promises of wealth and power, had guided the attackers through our defenses. But they forgot something. We don't fight like Europeans. We don't break when the lights go out. We don't quit when death knocks on the door. 3:17 a.m. I made a choice my own guards thought was madness. I walked outside, into the bullets, into the smoke, carrying nothing but the flag of Burkina Faso, not because I wanted to die, but because I understood you cannot kill an idea with bullets. You cannot assassinate a movement with bombs. You cannot break a people who have already decided they'd rather die free than live as slaves. The gunfire stopped, not because they ran out of ammunition, but because they realized they weren't aiming at one man anymore. At BY sunrise, the foreign operatives had retreated across the border. Their local collaborators either surrendered or fled, and I stood on the palace steps, covered in dust and smoke, raising our flag high. The crowd that gathered wasn't there because they heard gunshots. They were there because they knew, as long as that flag flies, Africa will not bow. That morning, I said one sentence that circled the globe in every language. They tried 3 times to kill me. That only proves one thing. I cannot be bought. I cannot be broken, and I will never beg permission to defend my people. Netanyahu's government denied everything. They called it African paranoia. Their foreign ministry muttered about regional instability and conspiracy theories. The Western press rushed to their script. CNN questioned my sanity. BBC labeled me Africa's most dangerous leader. Le Monde said my anti-Western rhetoric threatened peace. And their puppets across Africa? The president's still kneeling. Before Paris, the ministers selling our minds for personal bank accounts. They whispered behind closed doors, Traoré is too radical, too dangerous, too confrontational. Confrontational? Yes. Dangerous? To them. Because while they whispered in air-conditioned rooms, another voice was rising in the streets. Not their media, not their journalists, but through WhatsApp groups, on university campuses, in villages and cities. Young Africans spread a different story, a story of resistance, a story of sovereignty, a story of Africa finally standing tall. In Bamako, murals appeared overnight. 3 times he lived. Africa will not die. My face painted beside Sankara, Lumumba, Nkrumah, not as heroes, but as proof that resistance never dies. In Conakry, students marched with signs. Sovereignty is not negotiable. The same students once taught to worship Western development models now asked, why do we need permission to control our own gold? Why do we apologize for defending our borders? In Lagos, musicians wrote songs about the night bullets failed to break Burkina Faso. 3 times became an anthem, blasting in clubs from Cape Town to Cairo. Afrobeats turned into a war cry. In Addis Ababa, young leaders whispered in coffee shops, if Traoré can survive 3 attempts, what's our excuse for silence? If one small nation can resist the Western machine, what are we afraid of? In Nairobi, students launched sovereignty seminars, studying how we expelled French troops, reclaimed our gold, and built alliances outside Western control. In Accra, market women named me the survivor, not for dodging bullets, but because I revived something they thought was dead, African dignity. In Kinshasa, opposition leaders who had stayed silent for decades finally rose and declared, if Burkina Faso can fight, so can we. But what terrified the colonial powers most? It wasn't just politicians. It was the military. Colonels in Chad asked why French bases still occupied their soil. Generals in Niger asked why their uranium powered Paris while their people lived in darkness. Captains across the Sahel asked why terrorism always appeared when Africans took control of their own resources. Every failed assassination created something stronger than my survival. Proof. Proof that African leaders can fight back and win. Proof that sovereignty is not theory. It is a choice, bought with blood and courage. They wanted to kill one radical president. Instead, they gave birth to a movement, from Dakar to Kampala, Tripoli to Cape Town. 3 failed assassination. Attempts became 3 recruiting drives for African independence. Now, every young African watching foreign diplomats make demands remembers. They couldn't kill Traoré. Maybe they can't kill this dream either. Every officer ordered to suppress his own people remembers. Burkina Faso fought the French and won. Mali fought the French and won. Niger fought the French and won. Maybe it's our turn. Every president threatened with sanctions remembers. If they failed to kill him 3 times, maybe their power isn't as absolute as they pretend. Understand this. Every bullet fired at me was aimed at you. Every young African who dreams of independence. Every plot against me was designed to kill the idea that Africa belongs to Africans. But we will not bow. We will not forget. We will not surrender sovereignty for approval. This is Ibrahim Traoré, survivor of 3 assassination attempts. Enemy of every empire that thought Africa's leaders would stay silent forever. They failed 3 times. Now it is your turn to make that failure permanent. If you believe Africa has the right to live free, comment, Africa will rise. Like this video if you support leaders who choose bullets over bribes. Share it everywhere, because they tried 3 times to silence me, and now our voices will echo across the earth. The revolution is not coming. The revolution is here, and no amount of bullets will stop it.